but she always made sure that I earned it. And so we actually did not work together for the first 3 years of my career. Once we got to equal production is when I was like, hey, why don't we team up?
Welcome to the Closing Table Podcast, real accounts from real estate professionals, brought to you by WindowStill. I'm your host, Kat Schooler, and today I'm sitting down with real estate agent Taylor Sauls. Taylor, along with her mother, Trish, founded Salty Marlin Realty out in Panama City Beach, Florida, back in 2022, but neither of them are new to real estate. Taylor has been licensed since she was 19 years old, and her mother, Trish, has over 25 years of experience. Taylor shares with us today what it was like growing up in real estate and what made her want to go into business with her mother and be a mother-daughter team. She shares with us their growing team and the things that Salty Marlin has to offer their agents. And then finally, she shares with us some of the biggest mistakes she thinks home buyers and sellers are making. So pull up a chair and let's chat with Taylor.
All
So
right, let's do it.
Taylor, you grew up in real estate, right? You have a real estate mother, and so you've been around it your whole life. Did you always know you wanted to go into real estate?
Yes, 100%. And it's actually kind of funny because when I first started, well, my mom made me go to college. I'll start with that. She made me go to college, and I have always been a very strong-willed, strong-minded person. And I totally defied her and dropped out of college and went and got my real estate license anyways. And so it's something that I've always been passionate about. And we've been she's been in real estate for like 25 years. We went through the crash of 2008 as a family together. And, I think she just knows that those times were really tough. And so she was really wanting me to go to college, and have that as a career, whatever I chose to do. But stubborn me just couldn't handle that. And I was like, I'm going to do what I want to do. And so I did. And we both laugh and look back now. And it's funny because it's like, we're both so glad that I did that, because now look where we are. I've made a long-term career out of this for 12 years. And it's been the best decision that I could have ever made. So we're happy with my rebellion.
Yeah. Did she know, or was it like I'm doing it anyway, or did you like hide it from her?
I kind of was like, I'm doing it anyway. Like, this is what
Yeah.
I'm doing. And she did support me through it. She did. And then for the first, I'd say for about 3 years, she made me earn it. She's always been the type where she never liked to just, hand me stuff on a silver platter. Growing up, she made me earn everything, even my first car. I mean, she always made sure that like I was well taken care of. I mean, real estate provided a beautiful life for me growing up. But she always made sure that I earned it. And so we actually did not work together for the first 3 years of my career. Um, granted, I did work for her company, but we were not a team at the time. She made me go out there and earn it and sit open houses and call leads and do all the things. And I did. And then once we got to equal production is when I was like, hey, why don't we team up? This would be really cool. And I think people would just really love the whole mother daughter thing. I was like, why don't we team up? We can't take vacations. We can't enjoy our lives. I'm like, if we had each other as a team, then we would each be able to take time off when we wanted to. And so we finally, just 3 years in, decided to team up, and we have been together ever since. And we absolutely love it. I mean, there's not many people who could work with their mom, I don't think. But her and I are like best friends. I mean, we do everything together. And I always joke, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do when you retire, because it's going to be too sad for me to do real estate without you, because we're best friends. I love her so much. And we have so much fun doing this together every single day.
Oh, that is so wonderful to hear. It's so enviable, really. I mean, I love my mom, but I don't think I could work with her.
That's what most
Sorry,
people
mom.
say.
Yeah. You founded Salty Marlin Realty with your mom, and you guys have since grown a team, correct?
Yes, we have. We've been, I think, at this for probably about a year and a half now. We've got, I think, 35 or 36 agents total now. So we're growing really fast, which has been a journey. It's been a lot of fun. We have a really good group. So yeah, we're thriving. We're loving it. We're trying to teach our agents what we do and how we got to where we are. Um, I think our last year, so we've stepped back from production quite a bit compared to what we used to do, just so that we can run the brokerage and be there front and center. We've kind of gotten to the point where we're like, okay, we've done the hustle and bustle. We were named the top 1% in the whole country in 2022 of all agents. And that was kind of like our, okay, we did it. We can step back now and, grow this brokerage and, let's just pour into our agents and teach them how to do exactly what we've done.
That's awesome. And that is some rapid expansion. And are you guys still growing? Are you still building out the team?
We are actively recruiting and hiring. That is definitely at the forefront of what we're trying to do. We have a pretty big goal in mind, and we're doing something totally different than any other brokerage in our area. What we offer is just really unheard of, and I mean, we really are a business in a box. We have every single thing that an agent could ever need from A to Z in a platform all wrapped up into one. So like there's no outsourcing anything. Everything's right there. And we're teaching agents, like I said, I mean, we've opened up a playbook pretty much on how we did what we did. And here's how you do it. Copy paste basically.
That's great. And so when people are looking into you, are you looking for a certain type of agent? Like what is like kind of your ideal team member then?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really, I wouldn't say have an ideal team member. I think the most thing I can say is obviously we want, producing agents. I think that that's the number one goal is to have agents that actually produce. So really, I mean, our main criteria is hungry. We want hungry agents who are ready to go out there and put the work in, because something that we've found in our industry, and even as we grow as a brokerage, it's tough because you'll find you're looking for that hustle, and it's hard. Everybody has things going on in their lives sometimes, and so we're looking for the people who are not afraid to just dive headfirst no matter what they have going on and put their best foot forward, and put those prospecting hours in. Because I think the big part in real estate that people lack on is they don't treat it like a full-time job, and for us, I feel like if you're not putting in your prospecting hours without fail every single day, then your pipeline dries up. And so we're looking for people who are really hungry and want to show up every day and make their goals happen.
Would you say that would be kind of like your biggest lesson learned in real estate, that you have to treat it like a full-time job?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was actually a note that I had wrote down after
Yeah.
speaking with you the first time. That's something that I think I really want to touch on, honestly, because absolutely. I mean, if you don't, I always tell everybody, I'm like, I don't care how busy you are. If you don't take the time every day above everything else to put those prospecting hours in, and keep doing the same things consistently, then your pipeline dries up. And that's why so many agents fail at real estate, because they don't understand consistency. And so that's something that we're really heavily trying to preach and teach to our agents. And it's not just, it goes so much deeper than that. I mean, gosh, I could sit here and talk to you probably all day about, what it takes to actually be successful in real estate. But I mean, that is a big one. And so like my tagline that I use for our agents a lot is conversations equals closings. If you're not having conversations, you're not having closings. So you need to be having as many of them as possible. And real estate is like a pie chart. You have all these different things that make up your business. You can't just do one thing. You have to prospect at the right things, and it needs to be multiple things, but it's got to be the right things. And that's where a lot of agents, they don't have the guidance to know what the right things are or what they should be focusing their time on. So they kind of get, derailed or pulled in all these different directions.
So what do you think are some of the wrong things that people are focusing on then?
That's a tough question. Well, it's an easy question, but a tough question because there's a lot really. I think we do live in the day and age of social media, and don't get me wrong, social media is great. I mean, you can look at my brokerage page. We're all over social media, and so I guess what I mean by that statement is you can't focus too much on just one thing. So this day and age, all of these agents think that just social media, social media, social media. Let me try to get all of my business from social media. And that's just not the only way to get business. Your business is like a pie chart. Again, you have to have, it's a bucket. You got to be pouring all these different tactics in to have a full pipeline worth of closings. And so, when you're doing nothing but social media, well, that's only one avenue, and you're missing out on all the other things.
That's well said. The buzz is social media right now, but I do hear, a lot of people talk about very traditional techniques that still
Mhm.
work for them very well.
I like to do a mixture of both. We're all over social media, but something I'm seeing too is a lot of agents. They're either not posting on social media enough, because what I'm saying, don't get me wrong, social media. I don't want it to be mistaken that I'm not saying it's very important, because it is. But you should be posting on social media a ton. You should be hosting open houses. You should be cold calling, and you should be lead generating, and you should be doing all of those things consistently. And we at our brokerage, we kind of have a special way in how we prospect and how we do things. We don't talk about it too much. We like to kind of keep that in house, and it's kind of what one of our secrets, so to say, is of we've got a little bit of a secret sauce at our brokerage, something that we have found that works very, very well. It's what I built my career on. And so, when agents join on with us, we teach them all about exactly what we've done. We literally set them up on our platform, and they plug and play into what took me 6 years to build. And so, we're trying to teach our agents to do those things and to plug into what we've done and what we've built, and then, implement all the other things as well, like social media, open houses, all that prospecting and all the things that they need to be doing. So, and even mail outs. A lot of agents, they think like, oh, mail outs don't work, but they do if you do them right. It's all about doing the right things the correct way.
So, in terms of like when when you're working with clients, or when someone on your team is working with clients, like what is that process like?
Yeah, so when we have a client, we have a whole system and process in place. So, everything from my assistant to transaction coordination to just all of the back end systems that we've built out to help, deal with keeping the agents. We want our agents more focused on keeping their clients happy and staying forefront and center with them. And really that client relationship is very important. So we tried to build things out on the back end that help with all the other processes, so you're not so bogged down. Because I believe, to be truly called a good agent and a top agent, you can't do everything alone. No one ever built an empire alone. No one, and so if you're trying to really be a good agent and be a top agent, you have to have people and systems and processes in place to help with those things. And so for us, when a client works with us, they can expect that we're going to have a very professional system, from start to finish, and they're always going to be in the know of what's going on. So we have a specific list of things that happen and emails that go out and all the things that really walk them through it and hold their hand, so they always know what's going on through the entire transaction.
Excellent. And do you have any like favorite client stories, success stories that you'd like to share?
Oh, I've got it's a crazy one. It is a success story. It's actually the biggest sale I've ever made in my entire career. But it's also kind of a crazy story. So I don't know if you're ready for this one.
I'm ready. I'll buckle in.
it's it was a wild time in my life. So I actually closed the largest deal I had ever closed in my career. And I'm gonna get a little deep with this one, so hang with me. So I actually got diagnosed with MS. It's multiple sclerosis.
Mm.
And I I had a time with it at first, and I thankfully now, like, you would never even know I have it. I mean, as you could see from my social media profiles, I'm sure you looked. I do a lot of fishing, and I'm constantly staying busy with real estate. I'm growing this brokerage. I'm doing all these things that no one, when they think someone that has MS, they would think like, oh, how is she doing all that? I truly don't let it affect me. And this story that I'm about to tell you, I think, is a testament to that. So I actually closed the biggest deal of my career. It was a $7 million home and a $4 million home, actually, right around the same time. They were back to back. And while I was closing them, the client actually was, I worked at a different brokerage at the time. She was the sister of the owner of the real estate company that I worked for. And she came to us wanting us to help her. And we kind of had to keep everything a little quiet for a little while until like it started going through and she was able to share the news. But she was buying this $7 million home and selling a $4 million home. And so we had two transactions wrapped up into one. And I ended up having a massive MS attack. I went blind in one eye for 2 weeks. And I was
Oh no.
literally in the trenches, like just hammering out this deal, negotiating. It was the most stressful deal I had ever been a part of to begin with. You know, the stakes were high too. I mean, it was such a high dollar sale. And so I was in the trenches, you know, negotiating, like literally blind in one eye for 2 whole weeks. And it was honestly awful. But by the end of it, it was almost exhilarating. I know that sounds absolutely crazy, but once it was over with, I was like, I just accomplished that while going through so much. And I had a new baby, a newborn child at the time. Like it was a lot. But I just stuck it out. And, you know, thankfully, shortly after we closed, I actually got better. That's kind of something that happens with me with MS. That's my trigger is my eye randomly. And so you know, went through that process. Thankfully, I was able to get on steroids and do some infusions and things like that, and it got better. So right, like close to the time we were getting ready to close is about the time that I got better, and so it was like a rush of emotions for me because I, you know, went through that while having a small baby, and then we get to the closing table on two of the biggest deals we had ever done. Um, so it was a crazy, crazy time, but I stuck it through. And I think that'll probably always be one of my most memorable just because it was one of the biggest and one of the most stressful, but also the client. We got so close throughout that deal. And, you know, being able to, I guess, you know, persevere through that while making such a long term relationship and friend, you know, we loved her and so it's like, it just was, I don't think anything will ever top that. Hopefully not, because it's really crazy. I hope I don't have to deal with that again. But it was definitely, it was a time. So it's my most memorable and my most crazy. I wouldn't say my favorite, but probably my most crazy.
Well, I'm so glad you can look back on it as a triumph, right? In so many different ways. Like, kudos to you. That must have taken, so much strength.
It was a time. But that's how I was raised. You know, you always got to push through. And I think that's what makes a good agent. You know, we all have things that happen. And no matter what we're going through, it's our job to take care of our clients. And I've just always put my clients first. And, you know, I'm not a quitter. I didn't have it in me. We had to see her through it. So that's what we did.
And I'm sure you saw a lot of that, like from your mom, growing up in real estate. And like, even though, your first 3 years, you didn't work side by side with her, I'm sure you just saw it all the time growing up.
Oh my gosh. When I tell you, my mom is hands down the best agent that I've ever seen. And I can't begin to tell you how lucky and blessed I am to have learned from her. I almost tear up sometimes when I talk about her because she is a saint. This woman has literally, when I tell you, like, you couldn't pick a better example of a person and of an agent. She is the hardest working agent. It's funny because like her nickname used to be the shark. People would call her the shark of real estate because she's such a strong negotiator and like she's serious about her business, you know, but she's the most kind-hearted person all at the same time. And, you know, so to be able to have learned from her, I mean, she taught me everything I know, you know, and so to be able to have learned from her, like absolutely, it helped tremendously in my career. I got to learn from someone who's so well versed. I mean, she's got backgrounds in mortgage lending, real estate law. She was a real estate paralegal for a long time, marketing, like all sorts of different things, real estate related. And then, of course, she's now a broker, you know, of 25 years. And so it's like to have grown up on her hip and have learned from someone who was so hungry. Because my mom, I mean, she came from nothing growing up. She's got a really hard story. And, you know, for me to have been raised the way that I was, that was completely different than the way that she was raised. I just have a lot of respect for her. And, you know, she made sure that we always had everything we ever needed, um, while also making us earn it at the same time because she knows the importance of that. And so, yeah, you couldn't ask for a better partner, and a better mom, you know? So we're, like I said, we're very close. We're best friends. we do everything together. And real estate is one of those things. I don't know what I'm going to do if she ever retires on me. Like I said, I don't think I don't think I could keep doing it. I don't know. We'll see what the future holds.
She'll have to just, come to like one meeting a month or like one transaction a year, just
We've
enough
been
to
talking
be
about
in
that
it.
already. So
Yeah. In terms of people buying and selling their homes, what are kind of some of the biggest mistakes you see, and like what advice would you give to buyers and sellers?
yeah, when it comes to buyers, honestly, I think the biggest mistake that a lot of them make is this, and I don't know if my answer is going to be the same as a lot of other agents that you would ask, but I think the biggest mistake that they could make is not using a local lender. That is so important. Um, and I know our market here is a little bit different than everywhere else, but we're a big vacation destination spot, and here we have a lot of people from other areas that are trying to buy here, and they're trying to buy condos here. And what we see a lot is they use these out of town lenders, their hometown lenders. They'll be like, "Oh, this lender, they've done everything for me. They have my house, they have my car, they have everything that I've ever financed. They've done it for me. It's my hometown bank." And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way here. Our properties here are very specific types of property. We have what's called non-warrantables and condotels, and your typical lender cannot do these types of properties. And so having the conversation with them can be tough. And there's a lot of agents who also really don't know how to have that conversation properly with their clients, because it's a sticky situation when you have someone saying like, "Well, I want to use this lender," and you're like, "Well, you can't, because we're not going to be able to close." We see it happen all the time in our market. We get to like the end of the deal, and next thing you know, the lender's denying the loan because they didn't realize that it was a non-warrantable loan until they ordered the estoppel letter, which is usually done towards the end. And so it's kind of one of those things where, for me, it's important to explain that to my clients up front. And not only that too, even if you're just buying a traditional, regular residential home, using a local lender is still important. You need somebody who knows our area and who knows, how to push us to the end and get us to the closing table. And local is just best.
Oh, that is so good, especially because like we are based in Michigan, and the joke in Michigan, I'm sure this is a joke in a lot of states, like that everybody like retires to Florida, right? Right, or vacations in Florida, and you guys being there, you are the local
Mhm.
experts, and so that is so good to know.
Yes, very, very important.
Do you have a biggest mistake you see sellers making?
Oh, that one's easy. Going
Easy.
for sale by owner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because most of them don't realize an agent is going to pay for their self. We pay for ourselves. And if I can't, I'm not going to take your business anyways. So why not talk with an agent first and just see what they can do? We're not going to take your business if it doesn't financially make sense. If we can't help you, we can't help you. So that's my biggest recommendation for sellers.
Love it. We've talked about your area a bit, it being kind of like a vacation spot. You're in Florida, the weather's great. What do you love about your area? Because I know you're so invested in your locale.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that we're coastal. Obviously, I think, like I said, you can tell just by looking at my social media profiles, the water means everything to me. So getting to live, work, and play somewhere that looks like you're not even in the same country is just incredible. I mean, when I'm going to show condos, especially, and you're looking out at those just crystal clear emerald green waters, it looks like the Bahamas, and it's sometimes I have to pinch myself because I feel so lucky to get to work somewhere so beautiful and to live somewhere so beautiful. Um, so I would say that, just being coastal is really my favorite thing about our area.
And is that what kind of draws most people? Do you find you have a lot of people like relocating to your area?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We're known as the world's most beautiful beaches. It literally says that on the Panama City Beach sign when you drive into town. So yes, that's absolutely why people come here.
I love it. I haven't been. Now I have to visit.
You do. You must.
Yeah. Taylor, do you have any goals for this year that you'd like to share with us?
I do. It is a hefty goal, but I would like to get to 50 agents by the end of this year and 100 by the next year. That is my goal. Like I said, I've kind of switched. Now, I am still a producing agent, obviously, just not as heavy as I was. So my main goal is brokerage first. And I still have, some personal goals as far as what I want to sell for this year as well, but it's not, not as heavy as my prior year goals because my main focus is the brokerage and our agents and really just, providing the best place of business for them to work at. So, I would say, yeah, my goal is to get to 50 agents over this next year. We've got
It's
6
a
months
great
left to
goal.
do it.
Yeah, you can do it. And do you have something or anything you're looking forward to this year? It doesn't have to be real estate related.
Yes, fishing. I because we love to fish so much. My husband and I, we actually just caught a sailfish on our boat, which was a first for us. We usually fish a lot on other people's boats. We're really deep rooted in the fishing community here, and so we fish on our own boat a lot. But as far as fishing for bigger things like marlin, and stuff like that, we really we have some heavy goals on some stuff that we want to do fishing related. So we got to catch our first sailfish on our boat. We've caught them on other boats, but never on ours. And so my next goal is to catch a blue marlin off of our boat because we've caught them on other boats, but we've never gotten to catch one on our personal boat. So that's our goal for the year.
That's cool. That sounds like so much fun. It must be wild. They're big
It,
animals, you know?
Yes, they get really big, and it is very very wild, and it's the biggest thrill you could ever imagine. And people that don't fish or have never done it, they don't get it most of the time, but it is hands down the most adrenaline you could ever experience, in my opinion. I guess probably next to jumping out of an airplane.
Oh gosh, that's too cool. So Taylor, if people want to work with you, if they want to look into maybe joining your team, how can people find you?
Yeah, so you can check out our website. It's saltymarlinrealty.com. Or I love to have direct personal conversations because we really are unique and it takes talking with me one on one for me to really explain all of the things that we have that is different. So I love to have those personal connections. So call me anytime. My cell is 850-630-8377.
Awesome, cool. And we'll put that in the show notes for people to find as well. Taylor,
Cool.
thank you so much for joining me today. It was so great to learn about you and Salty Marlin Realty.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you for listening to the Closing Table podcast, brought to you by WindowStill. I'm Kat Schooler. Please make sure you are following this podcast on Apple and Spotify, or if you're part of our YouTube audience, make sure you've hit that subscribe button. If you're enjoying this podcast, consider leaving us a comment or a review. It helps us find more amazing listeners like you. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.